declared for the public. The Criminal Investigation Department inquires Vinayagamurthy Muralidharan for over 7 hours. Prime Minister instructs to direct attention in mitigating the elephant-human conflict in future development projects. Government directs attention in improving the foreign exchange by amending the existing laws. 2 consignments of BD leaves wrappers worth over 120 million rupees seized. Russia commences casting votes in a referendum prior to the scheduled date. Australia deploys army to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Now to those and other stories in detail now. The final report of the expert committee to review the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement was handed over to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this afternoon. The President instructed the Secretary to the President, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, to direct the attention of the public on the conclusions cited in the report. The 4-member committee was set up with effect from January 1, 2019, following a decision taken by the Cabinet of Ministers of the new government on December 18, 2019. The special committee was headed by Professor Lalitasiri Gunaruwan of the University of Colombo and comprised former Secretary to the Ministry of Transport D.S. Jayavira, President's Counsel Nihal Jayawardena and Architect Nalaka Jayavira as members. The 4-member committee compiled the final report after conducting a study for over 6 months and considering the views and suggestions made by relevant stakeholders. Chairman of the committee, Professor Lalitasiri Gunaruwan, pointed out that the previous government had signed 2 stages of the agreement consecutively in 2017 and 2018, and funds worth $7.4 million and $2.6 million have been extended under these stages. However, he further said that the relevant account details have not been indicated in any of the available documents. The chairman of the committee also said that a multi-sectoral coverage has not been conducted by the state-centered institutions on analysis prior to the signing of the agreement. He also emphasized that presenting a countering statement or proposal against the agreement after passing the project as a parliamentary act. Any condition can be altered through a letter by 2 representatives. Such decisions are detrimental and violate the parliamentary sovereignty. The chairman of the committee pointed out that this has created a situation preventing the Attorney General to represent the government or approach the courts in this regard. The committee members also directed the President's attention on the present condition and the plight of other countries which had initiated the MCC agreement. The chairman of the committee also extended his gratitude to the President for the opportunity to comprise an unbiased report in this regard without the mediation of external entities. The President instructed the Secretary to the President, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, to direct the attention of the public on the conclusions cited in the report.
The Criminal Investigation Department recorded a statement from former MP Vinayagamurthy Muralidharan alias Karuna Amman for over 7 hours today. The statement was recorded in accordance to the investigations currently underway over comments made by him recently. Former MP Vinayagamurthy Muralidharan said that he had not made any comment in a wrongful manner. He also said that he had not acted in a manner to offend any entity during the election propaganda campaigns. He further added that he only stated the previous incident as it is without any alterations. The former MP said that he would not engage in election propaganda campaigns in a manner to offend any entity. He said that media is responsible for this whole debacle. He said that they have affection for all citizens in the country. The former parliamentarian said that they will continue to conduct their election propaganda campaigns without racist or religious discrimination. He said that no good will come from repeating previous incidents on election stage. He said that he observes this incident as an attempt taken by certain individuals to reduce the number of votes expected to be obtained from Sinhala community. He said that such attempts should be stopped and thrive forward for the victory. He further said that he has never indicated that the army should be withdrawn or reduced from the previously affected areas. He said that the army has extended and fulfilled a massive service in all disaster situations.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa engaged in an observation tour at the Kolonnawa Canal Diversion Project today. This was initiated as one of the phases under the plan to mitigate flooding in Colombo city. The project has been jointly initiated by the Urban Development Authority and Low-Lying Areas Development Board. The project aims to minimize the adversities faced by the residents in Kolonnava area due to flooding. The project has been carried out at a cost of 1,400 million rupees. The project, which was scheduled to be completed in the month of August, has been delayed due to the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic. 72% of the project has been completed thus far. The project is expected to be completed at the end of this year. During the tour, the Prime Minister observed the water pumping station built in the Nagalam street. The engineer in charge of the project, H.A. Tushari, said that several other water retention projects have also been initiated in parallel to the project. It was also mentioned that the water has been soiled due to the accumulation of solid waste in the canals in the city. The Prime Minister also observed development activities of the Kolonnava Canal and the near Kalu Bridge, which is the estuary of the Kalani River. The project manager, R.M.D. Ratnayaka, briefed the Prime Minister on the present condition of the development project. The Ambatale Sedavatta Bridge has been identified as a hindrance to the water flow of the Kolonnava Canal. The expansion of the capacity of the Kolonnava Canal by 4 kilometers is also included in the project. The Prime Minister also observed the Vallampitiya Bridge, Thuppavila Canal and the canal near the Salalihini Mavata. The Prime Minister instructed the chairman of the Low-Lying Areas Development Board to prepare a walking path near the Salalihini Mavata, plant tree saplings on either side of the walking strip and extend the responsibility to maintain and sustain the planted trees for the children in the area. Secretary to the Urban Development Authority, Dr. Priyad Bandhu Vikrama, was also present at this occasion. Meanwhile, the final report of the Working Committee to study and accelerate the Colombo Port City project was handed over to the Prime Minister yesterday. After an extensive study, the recommendations have been directed through the report to carry forward the related work of the development project in a sustainable and effective manner. MMC Ferdinando is the chairman of the committee. He said that recommendations have been directed through the report on the necessary draft papers of the amendments of the Act related to the Colombo Port City to be presented and passed in the Parliament. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister instructed the officials of the Mahavali Development Authority and Irrigation Department to implement the proposed action plans for the development and future projects to resolve the elephant-human conflict, which has become a grave issue in the country. These instructions were directed during a meeting held today with the relevant authorities. The meeting was held to discuss on the projects which have been initiated at present and proposed projects expected to be implemented in the future. The elephant-human conflict has turned into a grave issue in the country due to the failure in implementing plans in an effective manner. The Prime Minister instructed the officials to draft and initiate future plans in an effective manner to mitigate the issue. The development projects initiated across the country by the Mahavali Development Authority and Irrigation Department was also reviewed during the meeting. Special attention was directed on the need for drinking water, agriculture, hydroelectricity generation, establishment of solar power plants, restructure of the tanks and mitigation of flooding when implementing these proposed projects. The Prime Minister also emphasized to take initiatives to vest many projects within an efficient fund management instead of the inefficient mechanisms implemented by the previous government with the general public in the next 2 years. The Prime Minister also instructed to compose necessary plans to allocate funds for new and proposed projects in the aftermath of the election. Minister Chamal Rajapaksa, Secretary to the Prime Minister Gamini Senarath were also present at the meeting.
The attention of the government has been directed to improve the foreign exchange earned by the country by introducing amendments to the Foreign Exchange Act. Speaking at the media briefing held to announce the cabinet decisions today, co-cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Bandhu Gunawardana said that the relevant gazette notification will be issued in the next couple of days after amending the relevant laws. Co-cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Bandhu Gunawardana said that a decision was taken at the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers on April 1, 2020 to suspend certain remittances from this country to others for 3 months, whereas the relevant order was issued through a gazette notification on the next day as per Section 22 of the Foreign Exchange Act. Furthermore, approval of the Cabinet of Ministers was granted at the meeting held on April 22nd to encourage the remittance of foreign currency to the country across foreign currency deposit accounts.
මුදල් ගලා යන ඒවට තියෙන නීති රීති දැඩි
In
කරනවා.
terms of these cabinet decisions, the Gazette notifications were issued for the statutes applicable under sections 22 and 29 of the Foreign Exchange Act. Furthermore, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal to extend the period of Gazette notification appearing the orders applicable to the limitation of remittances made out of the country by another 6 months from July 2nd. The International Development Association of the World Bank Group has agreed to use $60 million for the projects funded by the UNDP to fund programs targeted at COVID-19 affected social segments. These projects include transport connectivity, an assessment management project, ecosystem conservation and management project, and agro-irrigation development project adapting to climate change. Further, the International Development Agency has agreed to provide $5 million under the transit loan facility and $1.2 million grant under the pandemic emergency financing facility. The proposal was presented by the Prime Minister. The IDA has also agreed to provide an additional $22.4 million under the transition assistance loans.
Now, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka has approved loans amounting to 28 billion rupees at a concessionary rate of 4% to over 13,000 businesses affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. The relevant loan facilities were declared by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka yesterday in a press release. Having identified the urgent need of reviving the businesses adversely affected by the COVID-19 outbreak and thereby to promote economic activity in the country, the Central Bank and the Government of Sri Lanka launched a novel refinance facility under the Saubhagya loan scheme named Saubhagya COVID-19 Renaissance Facility, as announced on the 24th of March 2020. The Central Bank has approved 13,861 loan applications under the Phase 1 of the scheme, totaling 27.9 billion rupees, out of which the licensed banks have already disbursed 14.8 billion rupees among 7,274 affected businesses island-wide as of yesterday. These loans carry a concessional interest rate of 4% with a grace period of 6 months and a repayment period of 24 months. Further, the Central Bank now stands ready to provide further 120 billion rupees at a concessionary rate of 1% to commercial banks for on-lending to the affected businesses at a concessionary rate of 4% under the Phase 2 of the scheme.
Acting Chief of Defence Staff and Sri Lanka Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva says the attention of the whole Sri Lankan community has been directed to the theme of nothing is impossible. He further said that he salutes the nation for adhering to the health instructions in an effort to eradicate COVID-19 in the country. Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva made these remarks when he participated in the initiation of a special workshop organized at the Sri Lanka Army base in Sri Jawatanapura for the Sri Lanka Army Brigade commanders.
We had time to time in this country and last few months, especially due to the reason of the outbreak of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. As of today, we have managed to control this epidemic successfully. We are such a great nation who control COVID-19 successfully. We can be proud of our own achievements. Hats off to the great people of our nation who are disciplined to assist and support us to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in Sri Lanka. I take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and also Honorable Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and the government of Sri Lanka for the right decision that they took at the right time to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Special thank goes to the Minister of Health, Honorable Pavitra Vanniyarachchi, and her team from the health sector who tirelessly worked 24/7, giving guidelines to the nation. Army and our two sister services to be commended for the excellent service rendered, and it was second to none. Especially on Sri Lanka Army shoulder the gigantic task of rebuilding our nation. Lot of expectations on tri-services, leaders, commanders, officer and a gentleman, and they are supporting at the highest possible level to assist and support, to build this organization, build to what we want to achieve. I don't have to tell you today where the Army stands today in front of the nation. Therefore, it is a must that we render our service to this nation with all might. And we have done it. People of this nation talk about nothing impossible now.
Meanwhile, the percentage of the number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country has increased up to 79% at present. A total of 1,602 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from hospitals following their recoveries. Meanwhile, 9 COVID-19 patients were detected from the country today. According to a report issued by the Epidemiology Unit, a total of 40 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from hospitals upon their complete recovery within the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, a total of 10 COVID-19 patients were detected from the country yesterday. 7 patients have been identified as returnees from the US, while the other 3 are 3 Sri Lankan Navy personnel directed to quarantine. A total of 1,349 PCR tests were conducted yesterday. Accordingly, 99,983 PCR tests have been conducted in the country thus far. A total of 1,602 COVID-19 patients have been discharged from hospitals following their recoveries, and the percentage of COVID-19 recoveries in the country stands at 79.70%. A total of 397 COVID-19 patients are currently under medical care in hospitals, and this is a percentage of 19.75%. A group of 256 Sri Lankans stranded in Seychelles, unable to return to the country due to the COVID-19 outbreak, were brought back to the country this afternoon. They were directed to PCR tests upon their arrival. Indigenous community village in Dabana, closed due to the prevailing COVID-19 outbreak, was reopened today for tourists from today. The residents engaged in a traditional dance symbolizing the celebration of the reopening of the village.
Taking a look at more local news, the national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines has converted a wide-body passenger aircraft into a dedicated cargo aircraft in its quest to continuously support Sri Lanka's export industries and to keep the country connected with the global economy during the pandemic. This converted Airbus A330 aircraft will commence operations from today to key destinations in the Far East and Europe.
The reconfiguration of the aircraft was carried out in-house at the airline's hub at Bandaranaike International Airport, where the Sri Lankan Airlines engineering team worked around the clock. The new operational configuration has been certified by the Civil Aviation Authority of Sri Lanka. The aircraft will fly a total of 170 cubic meters of cargo capacity, with the enhanced 60 cubic meters of cargo on its upper deck, with 110 cubic meters carried on the lower deck. The total payload of the aircraft will amount 45 metric tons. Sri Lankan Airlines currently operates other aircraft on special cargo flights to 20 destinations in the Europe, Middle East, Australia, India and the Far East regions.
Today, indeed a very happy day for Sri Lankan Airlines family in our 41-year history. It is the first time in the history of Sri Lankan Airlines that we have been able to brand a cargo airlines under the Sri Lankan brand. So it is a unique milestone for us. Cargo plays a very significant role in the national economy, and during the COVID pandemic that we have operated the cargo flights to many continents, starting from South Africa to London, to Germany, Sydney, Australia, Melbourne, and then to Narita, and covered like so many countries which we never did earlier. Thereby we have helped the exporters,
whilst offering capacity for cargo charter operations to customers in need of the same.
COVID virus and the pandemic has really challenged the aviation industry and the aviation related industries. There were many companies which had to be out of business, but we as a company, as a team, had taken our experience over the last few months, however much challenging they were, and look forward to grow the business whilst we support our key stakeholders in the industry, essentially our customers, agents, and the exporters of Sri Lanka. And the Sri Lankan industries, mainly the apparel industry, was badly hit without the raw material, who basically met us and wanted us to see how best as the national carrier we could give a lifeline to an industry which was faced with a lot of challenges.
So obviously it's a larger business. Sri Lanka is, becoming a large exporter, and there are more imports also coming into the country. So obviously, right, we need to enhance on our cargo operations and the infrastructure. So we had plans, right? In fact, our cargo storage about aviation is because that's not enough for us to store cargo. So we had plans, and because those storage facilities belongs to the airport aviation. So they have plans to build something, not only for us, because our facility is used by the other airlines as well.
Meanwhile, the following decisions have been taken by the Cabinet of Ministers at their meeting held yesterday. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal submitted by the Prime Minister as the Minister of Finance, Economic and Policy Development in regard to provide reliefs to small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. The Cabinet of Ministers, in their decision on the 3rd of June 2020, approved to release the duties related to all types of taxes during the lockdown period of the government due to COVID-19 and implement such duties from the month of July 2020. Minister of Foreign Affairs presented the measures taken by the Ministry of Foreign Relations and the Sri Lankan missions abroad to address the issues related to vulnerable segment of Sri Lankans in abroad amidst the COVID-19 global pandemic. Together with the Presidential Secretariat and the Task Force on COVID-19, more than 9,580 Sri Lankans have been brought to Sri Lanka from 38 countries. 10 flights have been arranged from the 24th of June to 7th of July to repatriate Sri Lankans from 10 other countries. Meanwhile, arrangements have been made to commence work on Phase 1 of the Central Expressway project. Work on Part 2 of the project is underway. Further, the 100,000 kilometer road development project has been commenced and currently it is underway. Accordingly, the proposal presented by the Minister of Finance, Economy and Policy Planning to authorize the relevant authorities of the respective institutions to obtain funds from the local banks to issue the treasury guarantees for the purpose was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. The contract between Ceylon Shipping Corporation and United Shippers Limited of India for disembarkation of coal from barges from the ships to Lakujaya coal power plant has been ended from April 2020. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the consolidated proposal tabled by the Minister of Ports with Shipping and the Minister of Electricity and Power.
Officers attached to Sri Lanka Customs took the initiative to open 2 containers consisting betel leaf wrappers today, which was seized recently. The containers were stored in the Ingurukade Grey Line terminal in Colombo. Director General of Sri Lanka Customs, retired Major General Vijitha Ravipriya, was present at this occasion. The 40-feet-long containers, claiming to be consisting of yarns, were imported from Chennai, India. The custom officers who had inspected the containers recovered 24,000 kilograms of betel leaf wrappers worth 122 million rupees. Reports have indicated that the containers have been brought into the country under the guise of importing raw material for a BOI-registered factory in Karnataka Export Processing Zone. One suspect has been arrested on this regard.
The final rites of late veteran Tamil actor and announcer Nadaraja Sivam was held at the Borallas Cemetery this evening. He was 74 years of age at the time of his demise. Joining the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation in 1967, late veteran Tamil actor and announcer Nadaraja Sivam contributed vastly to the programs and radio dramas during his tenure. He had also took part in numerous programs in Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, including Aibowan Subodasanak program, and played roles in many Sinhala and Tamil teledramas and films. He was admitted to a private hospital after suffering from a cardiac arrest and had passed away yesterday. The final rites were conducted today with the participation of many artists and journalists in the country. And in some sports news, Sri Lanka Cricket has announced that Bangladesh tour to Sri Lanka, scheduled to take place next month, has been postponed until further notice. The Bangladesh Cricket Board has officially informed Sri Lanka Cricket of the incapability in proceeding with the scheduled Bangladesh tour. due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The Bangladesh Cricket Board has further stated that they are willing to resume with the proceedings of the postponed tour in Sri Lanka after the ceasing of COVID-19 pandemic. Sri Lanka-Bangladesh series was consisted of 3 test matches. The Minister of Sports has granted approval for the initiation of the Lanka Premier League organised by Sri Lanka Cricket. The tournament will consist of 5 teams and will be held from the 8th of August till the 20th of August. And that's all the stories we have for you tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.